Nvidia stock crossed over $1,100 as the stock was up over 7% today, now sitting at a market cap of $2.8 trillion. On today's episode, we do have a lot to cover about Nvidia and some potential catalysts that could happen within the next few months. I also want to take a closer look at another semiconductor company, Texas Instrument, that did have some interesting news today, and just kind of overall talk about some different updates impacting the semiconductor space. So let's get started with today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So we can see the stock right now is sitting at $1,140. Congratulations to all the Nvidia bulls and all the Nvidia longs right now. We can see in the past 5 days, the stock is up roughly 22%, up over $205. In the past month, the stock is up nearly 30%. Year to date, the stock is up over 136%. So I pretty much just want to share my overall thoughts right now on Nvidia stock price. Nvidia is my number one position at the moment. I'm personally not buying. If I was to buy, these would be very, very small dollar cost averaging for me. Again, it could be just my overall pricing bias that I've been in this stock for such a long time, but right now is not the time that I personally would load up the truck. Let me know in the comments below what are some of your thoughts right now here on Nvidia. All right, so the first thing I want to take a closer look at is Nvidia scoops up wins at Computex Best Choice Awards. So for those that are not familiar, in the upcoming week, there is going to be a huge electronic trade show in Taiwan known as Computex. It seems like in this trade show, there are a lot of kind of award ceremonies as well, and Nvidia won 3. The first one was for the Computer and System Category Award, where the Nvidia Grace Hopper 200 Superchip won that award there. Then the Nvidia Spectrum X, which is their AI Ethernet networking platform, won the Networking and Communication Category Award. And finally, the Nvidia AI Enterprise Software Platform won a Golden Award. So it just kind of, I don't know if a lot of these places are just trying to kiss up to Nvidia, to maybe Nvidia send maybe more AI chips to Taiwan or to some of these areas. But right now, we can see that Nvidia is leading the charge and they're winning some great awards here. Now, Nvidia's founder and CEO Jensen will deliver the Computex keynote address on Sunday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. Taiwan time. Even if you're not an Nvidia investor, or if you are an Nvidia investor, I would definitely recommend checking out that keynote. I'll probably do a highlight on this channel, but we'll probably get some cool updates of maybe what's in store for Nvidia, what's in store for the AI market, and we can kind of build more of our bullish thesis out of it. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel to learn more. Before we go any further, we are now on the road to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you all for the crazy support. So if you haven't and are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support the channel a little bit more, make sure to check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode. So now a pretty interesting news and rumor happening around here in the tech world that I'm not sure how I feel about it. And it kind of started off on May 22nd when Bloomberg had an interview with the CEO of Nvidia and Dell. And during this keynote or this interview, one of the interviewers asked if Nvidia had a place in the PC market for the AI space. And the CEO of Dell kind of interjected into her interview and said, "Come back next year," to which Jensen affirmed exactly. So many people believe that this means that Nvidia is most likely going to enter the CPU space here in the PC market, especially as we're going to the AI PC era. I'm not necessarily completely sold to the idea that Nvidia is going to enter the CPU space. What I can possibly see happening is in the future, maybe Nvidia creates some licensing solutions where they might license some of their GPU tensor cores to maybe some of the ARM players out there and build more of an NPU using their their graphics and AI solutions already. So it's pretty interesting that the market believes that Nvidia is going to enter the CPU space. The reason I don't believe the CPU space makes great choice in forms of the client market is because it has very high amount of competition from AMD, from Intel, from Qualcomm now. So it's something I'm personally, as a long-term Nvidia investor, not so that that Nvidia is gonna enter the CPU space, but I do believe that they're trying to enter the AI PC space one way or another outside of their discrete GPU. Because right now, the discrete GPU is kind of like your RTX 4080, the RTX 4090, which are pretty expensive. But what's really happening with the AI PCs is they come with an NPU chip integrated into the CPU, which allows for AI workloads, but you don't need that crazy expensive GPU. Obviously, that crazy expensive GPU is more powerful. So that's why I believe that maybe Nvidia in the future is gonna kind of find a way to license some of its IP. Now, again, another article came out today where more talks of Nvidia really entering the ARM-based AI PC processor or CPU market. Like I mentioned, if I was an Nvidia bettor, I don't believe they were going to enter the CPU space. I believe they're going to enter the NPU space with some form of licensing agreement. Now, a great news or catalyst that could come out pretty soon for Nvidia is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, and this is starting off on June 10th with a keynote address. It's going to be about a 4-day product, a 4-day event, but the keynote is going to happen on June 10th, where Apple is going to take a first look at their groundbreaking updates coming to Apple platform later this year. A lot of people believe this is where Apple is going to talk a lot about their AI infrastructure, about their AI solutions and AI products. And if maybe they are developing stuff in the AI space, then Nvidia could probably be a great partner here. So Apple has definitely been lacking, in my opinion, in the AI race. There's also been rumors and discussions that Apple has created their own AI chips. We'll learn a little bit more here, but this could definitely be a potential catalyst for Nvidia. Now, there was a pretty interesting article that came out early, almost at the end of the day today, that talks about how Amazon is struggling to challenge Nvidia's AI chip supremacy. And this is kind of a great reminder of one of the biggest bear theses out there that, hey, look, all these big tech players are trying to remove their dependency of NVIDIA chips by creating some form of AI accelerator, by creating some form of AI chip. And based on this report, it seems like Amazon has created a lot of AI chips, right? If you are familiar, they have the AI Inferentia and the AI Trainium, which is one meant for inferencing and the other one's obviously meant for training. But it seems that based on internal and confidential documents that come that reported by Business Insider, that the actual adoption of these chips are pretty weak. For example, the Trainium's adoption rate among AWS customers was merely 0.5% compared to that of NVIDIA's graphic processing units, and the Inferentia was slightly higher with 2.7%, and that early attempts from customers have exposed friction points and stifled adoption. And right now, Amazon's custom AI chip development is under internal review. So obviously, if you're making money out of your AI chips, you're reducing kind of your capex by not buying plenty of NVIDIA chips, then it makes perfect sense for you to continue to develop AI chips. But if you're not seeing strong adoption, if customers are not liking the chips and they continue to go with NVIDIA's, I believe that's going to put a lot of pressure on all these big tech players to say, hey, look, do we continue to develop our own AI chips, or do we wave the white flag and just spend our money wisely and buy the top of the line product with NVIDIA? It's also important, right, that these adoption rates are not that high, right? It was below 1% for one of them and below 3% for the other. And Amazon has a lot of partnerships with AI companies that they probably even force some of those AI companies to use their AI chips in general. So the actual adoption rate, if for players not being forced, could actually be a lot lower. Now, next, I want to take a closer look at Texas Instrument. Texas Instrument was up a nice amount today before returning almost all of its gain. And the main reason is an activist investor takes a 2.5 billion stake in Texas Instrument and urges the company to really go back into improving its cash flow statements. Now, Texas Instrument shares a lot of this information. If you are an investor, you do know that, hey, look, compared to 2022, 2023 was very low in forms of cash return per share via being repurchase program or dividends paid per share. And the main reason, like we saw from that activist letter, is that Texas Instrument is investing a lot of money in expanding in capital expenditures, is improving its manufacturing push right now. And the main reason is because this company believes that the semiconductor market is expected to grow dramatically within the upcoming years. So they want to have enough of their supply chain in-house that they can support multi-billion-dollar revenues. So a lot of the chips internally they want to build in-house. One of those are wafers of 300 millimeters. And right now, these might seem like a weird choice as some of the semiconductor space is in a weak area, especially where Texas Instrument hits. But in the long term, I do believe this is the best decision. In the short term, obviously, it's going to hit and it's going to hurt shareholder returns. But in the future, this, in my opinion, is going to be a smart move. As the company has mentioned, look, shifting from chips that are built on 200 millimeter wafers to 300 millimeter wafers, you have a huge increase in gross margins just because you can build more at a cheaper price. So overall, just by doing what they're doing right now, they're going to be able to increase their gross margins in the future, have more revenue in general, and probably most likely be able to return more money to shareholders. So I'm not a huge fan of this activist, even though I'm not a shareholder of Texas Instrument. If I was a shareholder of Texas Instrument, I would like for this company to continue its heavy investment in capital expenditure for the next few years. And then after that, reap the rewards that came with that investment and then see that huge growth in return to shareholder via both buybacks and dividend yields. Now, the final thing we are seeing is Beijing and China have doubled down on its push for semiconductor self-sufficiency with an establishment of a new $47.5 billion investment fund to accelerate the growth in domestic chip sector. So right now, obviously, Nvidia is a prime target, but due to export restrictions, China is not getting the best of the best chips. So right now, China's saying, hey, look, if you're not going to be able to send us the best of the best chips, we're going to have to develop a lot internally. So we can see the Chinese market is definitely trying to subsidize a lot of chip development. At the end of the day, United States is going to continue to dominate the chip market in forms of design. And I am happy that here in the United States, we do have the CHIPS Act to bring back manufacturing here to the United States. So it is something that maybe companies should be worried, in my opinion, especially for maybe the more mature companies, mature node players. In things like Nvidia, I don't believe I would be worried right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.